Hello all, I'm Amanda Zabriskie from the Government of Alberta's Be Prepared program within the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. Welcome to the first video of the In It Together series for Emergency Preparedness Week 2026. This video is part one of a 5-part series from the Be Prepared program that will help you build practical steps toward making community connections that help increase your resilience to disruptions, emergencies, or even disasters. Emergency Preparedness Week, or EP Week, is a nationwide event coordinated by Public Safety Canada in partnership with provinces, territories, and other partners to encourage Canadians to become better prepared for emergencies. It is an annual event that takes place during the first full week of May. In 2026, EP Week runs from May 3rd to May 9th. This year, Alberta is presenting a new theme titled In It Together, centered around the important preparedness behavior of making community connections. Our goal with this video series is to encourage more Albertans to take simple, proactive steps to build and use community connections as a part of their emergency preparedness. We're in it together, before, during, and after emergencies. Defining community is the first consideration in making community connections, and it's what we'll be talking about today. However, this video series will break down each of the steps to make community connections throughout the week. These steps include finding everyday opportunities to make connections, learning who is in your community connections during and after an emergency, and how we all have a role to play, but together we are more resilient. Making community connections is one of the many preparedness behaviors that the Be Prepared program promotes. But there are many different actions, like the ones you see on this slide, you can take to be more prepared. Hearing them all together can feel overwhelming, but the goal is to tackle preparedness little by little, one step at a time. Preparedness is personal, so the steps you will take vary from those around you, where you live, your daily routines, and how members of your household move throughout the day all influence your level of risk. Considering these factors helps you make informed decisions. Preparedness means looking at everyone that's important to you, where they are, starting that discussion with them, and planning for both evacuation and sheltering in place together. It means making sure that you have all the pieces in place to make that plan work, as it can be as simple as swapping keys and writing down contacts. Preparedness isn't about being ready for the next big disaster. It's about making preparedness a part of your day so you are better able to navigate disruptions, big or small, when they occur. Preparedness is often associated as being a high-cost activity, but in reality, being unprepared is costlier. To help address the barrier of costly preparedness actions, break preparedness down into bite-sized steps. To walk through the steps to make community connections, let's meet the Blues. We'll use the Blues as an example to help us think about how to build stronger connections in communities that already surround you. The Blues have just moved to Fort Edgarry, Alberta. We chose Fort Edgarry as our location today because we wanted you to be able to see yourself in today's example, regardless of where you live in Alberta. We're talking about any city or town because this applies to everyone. Bob and Brianna Blue are both in their 40s. They have 2 children, Bennett, 14, and Bee, who attend the local high school and elementary schools, respectively. Brianna's mom, Grandma Betty, lives across town in her own home. They also have a beloved dog named Bluebell, who works from home. When talking about disruptions, events, or emergencies, these are situations that interrupt daily life, such as severe weather, power outages, or evacuations. These situations highlight that preparedness is a shared responsibility and that there are actions individuals and households can take ahead of time to reduce risk and respond more effectively. The Blues have been through an emergency before. This experience has helped them understand that emergency preparedness is a shared responsibility and inspired them to seek out resources and take steps to become better prepared. Just like you, their search to become more prepared has led them to finding the Alberta Emergency Management Agency's Be Prepared program, where they learned about different risk reduction behaviors or preparedness actions they can gradually build into their routine to strengthen resilience against disruptions, big or small, such as preparing emergency supplies, making a plan, getting and staying informed, and making community connections. Perhaps, like the Blues family, you have recently experienced a big change in your life. like moving your home, your workplace, or had a significant shift in your schedule, or you are interested in learning more about emergency preparedness, and that has inspired you to learn more about your community to become more prepared. The Blues learned through the Be Prepared program that according to the 2025 Preparedness Survey of Albertans, only 12% of Albertans have a community support system, which got them thinking about what their community looks like and how they might work together through tough times. When we think of community, our first instinct might be to think of where we live, whether that is a neighborhood, an apartment building, or otherwise. But this is only one dimension. For example, the Blues live in Pickard Park neighborhood in Fort Edgary. But community can take on many forms of social groups: neighbors, coworkers, faith groups, sports teams, reading clubs, or people connected by culture or shared interests. These can change even throughout the course of the day, season, or year. The Blues, like you, are a part of many communities beyond just where they live. Each member of the Blues has unique interests and spaces where they are part of community. We define these to understand who we need to help and who we might be able to call on for help in emergencies, both small and large. Bob is a wilderness expert and works in the forest on the outskirts of the Stocky Mountains. This mountain range borders Fort Edgary, but is a provincial park, which means in addition to being a Fort Edgary community member, Bob is also a member of the provincial parks community because of where he works and recreates. He is also an avid cross-country skier in the winter and cyclist in the summer. Brianna is a nurse who works shift work. She has recently joined a book club and loves rock climbing in the park with Bob and friends. Bennett plays hockey and has joined the outdoors club at school. Similarly, young B has joined her community's theater drama program and plays soccer in the summer. These activities sometimes take them to different towns in Alberta for practices and competitions. Together, they are members of their local sports and art communities and the carpool communities they participate in for their activities. Grandma Betty is across town in her own home and volunteers nearby at the German Cultural Center with their Meals on Wheels program and in her local community garden. And Bluebell relaxes at home until her loved ones return. She is also a very valued member of the neighborhood watch team and sometimes goes out for walks with a nearby neighbor friend. The Blues identifying their communities is the first step in making community connections and understanding how to form a community support system. Now let's look at defining your own community. Consider these questions. Which communities are you a part of? How have they changed? How are they changing? Perhaps over the years or seasons. Bennett, for example, plays hockey and practices in different places across Alberta, which means Bennett needs to understand different hazards, and the people caring for Bennett, like coaches and carpool parents, should ensure they have adequate information, like healthcare numbers and emergency contacts in case of an incident or an emergency. Do you work in the same municipality in which you live? Are the hazards in those places the same? Does everyone you love spend their day in the same municipality or location as your home? You, like Bob, might work away from home and have some responsibilities which might prohibit you from leaving in an emergency, which means you might need to ask who else can help your kids. And do they know who to contact? Do the kids have those numbers? How do your work or social activities affect your participation in your communities, your risks, and your ability to support in an emergency? Feel free to pause this video and reflect. We all have a role to play in emergency preparedness. Making community connections is one way the Blues can be better prepared, and connecting into community can help for all kinds of emergencies, big and small. Just like the Blues, you may already be a part of several communities without realizing it. Knowing who and where your communities are is an important piece in building community connections. When communities come together, they can form community support systems where they share knowledge, skills, and abilities to prevent, mitigate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from everyday disruptions to emergencies and even disasters. Everyone's situation and preparedness journey looks different. Now that you and the Blues have identified the communities that you are a part of, you can take the next steps to build those connections and help build resilience at the individual, household, and community level. Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for part 2 of the 5-part video series and learn about everyday opportunities to make community connections. Follow along tomorrow to see how the Blues continue to make community connections.